see how to install domain controller. Domain controller is nothing but a server. It's a physical component. There is a physical component and logical components are there. So physical component means domain controller. Guys, I shared 3 PPTs. In a 3 PPTs, this PPT, third PPT, introduction to Active Directory domain. So it contains what is a domain, what is domain controller, and so many statements are there. So better you can go through once the statements. Okay, see, this is introduction to Active Directory domain services. Okay, it contains what is Active Directory. Second one, so overview of ADDS. What is Active Directory database? What it will do? What are the physical component, logical components? What are this domain controller, data store, global catalog server, read-only data kind of stuff? Partitions, schema, like this. There's definitions also there. It is very big PPT, guys. 44 slides are there. Each slide contains so much of data. Of course, I'll take one full off day or full day to explain all these things. Not everything is, but a few points are very important to know what is the Active Directory. You know, here the highest view for this one only, and of course there's a likes and dislikes also there, 9 dislikes also there. You know, it is a 10 minutes video. Still, I don't know why it is become more popular. Okay, even I myself, I listen 2-3 times. I don't understand what is there inside. When we take class very clearly understanding, no one is liking it. Okay. Yeah, only one guy is given a comment like, I don't understand anything. It's totally confusing. I said like, yeah, very good, thank you. Okay, my video only it is. So what is a domain controller? It's a nothing but a server. Your Windows server only. It's a physical server. Physical server means we are using virtual machine, right? It does not mean like that. It is a server. It's a physical component. Okay. First of all, here we take a Windows server. Already we installed Windows server. I'm using 2019. Guys, is it a 2012 or 2016 or 2019? Installation method is same. Older version having little different version, but anything like a from 2000 onwards, it is same only. Means domain controller is a domain controller only. So 2000 onwards, Windows Server 2000 onwards, domain controller means domain controller only. Active Directory means Active Directory only. Okay, but from 2012 onwards, installation method is little different. 2012, 16 and 19 installation method is same. So what are the server you are using? This is the installation method. First, we have to give some planning. Step by step, we are doing it. Okay. So before whatever it is, domain controller it is. First of all, you have to check the server name. You have to put a proper server name here. Name of the server. I put my server name is WinS1. And I have to configure an IP address. I have to configure IP address. Of course, first we'll change the computer name and we'll see it. Yes, I am using I'm using Windows Server only. Client is not yet open. Server and it is connected to VMnet 1. I'm power on virtual machine. Okay. Yeah, morning a shutdown, right? 2 GB. Okay. Guys, 4 GB laptop guys use 1 GB only. Okay. For a server and client, I have to tell one diagram, then we'll see it. Okay, so when it is come to the client time, so tomorrow I will tell what is server, client, what are the connections and all. That we will tell after this domain controller installation. But currently, I want to change the computer name. So now it is starting. It will take little 1 minute time. So then I am using my IP address. Here I want to configure an IP address like this. You can use any type of IP address. We are connected to VMnet1. You can use private, public, anything, no problem. Try to avoid a 192 series. Try to avoid a 192 series. Okay, this is first. Try to avoid 192 series. Of course, I will tell VMnet1 setting is also there. So I will tell that one also now. Okay, VMnet1 setting also I will tell. Because VMware will give you DHCP service. That is a very dangerous service. Okay, so VMnet1 setting also I will tell. Next, we'll configure an IP address. Yes, static IP address is required, not automatic IP address here. Static IP address were assigned. So IP address not from automatically from DHCP server. I'm assigning this IP address. Why this IP address? I will tell. This is class B network. Okay, and this is the host portion. This is network portion. It is a private IP address. Okay. Next, why this one? For example, I want to take 192.168.1. Or a 10.0. This is a network. If I put a 169.10.1, by default, this IP address we use it for a default gateways. For a router IP address or a default gateways we are using. In the network, anyone can use remaining IP address. There is a possibility 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it can be assigned to any other network, any other PCs. Then what happened? For example, I took a 192.168.10.20 to a PC1 or a PC something PC PC2. This is the IP address, and my server I use 192.168.10.20. What will happen? A PC is same IP address, server is also same IP address. What will happen here? A conflict will be generated. Conflict will be generated. This is entirely network portion. Network portion is same, and host portion also same. Conflict will generated. So PC2 and server 1 both won't communicate to anyone. Okay. So these are the reasons why I use this 254 last. Instead of that one, if I use 254, what will happen? Normally, people not having an idea like 254 can we use it or not, 255 or 256, out of 200, it's very less idea, like go for 20, 30, 40, 100, that is okay. But 254 not having much idea. So very less people will go with the 254. So possibility of conflict will be very less. Possibility of conflicts will be very less. That is one thing. Next, why I try to say avoid 192 series? Why I put a 172 series? There is a reason. Reason is your VMware application. The VMware applications also having a DHCP service. So we are connected to host only kind of stuff, and if you are connected to your VMnet 0 kind of stuff or VMnet 1, most of the networks here it is 192 series only. Your Wi-Fi routers or VMware DHCP services are 192 series. That's why I told avoid 192 series. You can use 10. You can use 10.0.0.254. No problem. It is not compulsory to 254 also. You can put 25 or 2 or 5 or 1. Not at all a problem, guys. Everything works. This is just following a sequence type. Okay. Hobby. Okay. Now, what is a subnet mask? the subnet mask. Is it my started or not? So then only you will go. Alt control insert. So sometimes your insert in the function. So carefully. So Alt control. In my keyboard, the insert button is connected to the function key, Fn key. So I have to put a Alt Control Fn insert. That's why some people are facing an issue. Put a Alt Control insert. Why? Because of even though they put a insert, it's not working. Why? Because of insert may be in the function key. Okay, so then compulsory Alt Control function key insert. It is on. Now we log in. Let it come. It will take time. SubnetMask, IP address, SubnetMask, DNS server. This is a preferred DNS server. Preferred DNS server. So I will tell that one. So, yeah, server is on. Guys, can you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So server manager is open. Go to local server and just little wait. Why? Because of when it is the scrolling is going on, so it is still loading type on. Okay. Next, when you scroll this page, you may see anything is red in color. So sorry, in a dashboard, you can see something like this green colors. Sometimes it will show red color for a few kind of stuff. So do not worry about it. Okay, it's not completely error. Yes, you can see. So last 2-3 times people are asking, sir, what is this red color? Is any problem is there? Usually no problem. There is some issues happen in a services. That's what it is showing. So you can easily understand there is an issue. Log sheet it is. You can go to this link and there is a problem to download maps manager. Maps broker stopped because internet is not connected. So obviously this service is not running and maps, we don't require maps here. So close it. Okay. So that's the only thing. Again, guys, can you able to see my computer name? So I will increase my size like view 150%. Can you see computer name?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it is very difficult to remember, right? So what I'm doing is click on this computer name. Click on the computer name. Then you will get this system properties. Go to change and change the computer name. I said WinS1. I want to put a WinS1. Do not change anything. Work group or domain, don't change anything. It should be in work group only. It should be in work group. Then only it will become domain controller. Because we don't have any domain, existing domain is also not there. So you can click OK and it is asked for restart. Restart now. Close. Automatically it will restart. Again, local server. Computer name. Click here. You can get this box. Go to change. Go to change. Click on change. So at computer name, type WinS1. WinS1. Click OK. So you ask to restart the computer, compulsory restart. Click on close, restart now. Okay. Let it restart. Meanwhile, I will tell one story. This is to understand, guys. This is my domain controller server 1. This is my DNS server. This is my client. Okay. So I have to open another way, but no problems. This is my server 1. This is my server 2. So this is my domain controller. This is my DNS server. This IP address is, for example, I'm using 172.16.0.254. This PC IP address is 172.16.0.253, for example, just for example. Okay. So leave about a client now. So we are working on a server. Okay. Server IP address is 172.16.0.254. Already I've written here, but no problem. Just will erase it. Okay. Now in network, it is asked for a what is your DNS server. Okay. So you are giving IP address. Okay. You are giving IP address. You are already given IP address. Of course, SubnetMask will be there. And it is asking for a what is your preferred DNS server. Okay, what is your preferred DNS server? What is my DNS server as per this diagram? What is my DNS server as per this diagram? S1 or S2?
S1.
S2.
S2. Okay. And what is the S2 IP address?
172.16.0.253.
Very good. So this is our DNS server. But here we don't use any separate DNS server. We don't have any separate DNS server, and we don't use any separate DNS server. So I'm removing this one. Again, I am drawing again. So this is my server 1, my WinS1. This is my domain controller. I have to install here Active Directory, domain services. Then when it is configuring, anyway, I'm going to install my DNS server also here. So this is a Active Directory server plus DNS server. Now who is your DNS server? S1 only. Again, IP address 172.16.0.254 is my IP address. I put a subnet mask. Then what is my DNS server address? Tell me. Who is my DNS server now? S1. What is S1 IP address?
172.16.0.254.
54. So like that, my server is a DNS server. So you have to give a DNS server address like this one. Client side also, I will tell. For example, I want to put a client IP address like this 192.172.16.0 dot. For example, 10. This is my client IP address. Now I want to put a DNS server address for a client. So what is my DNS server? Who is my DNS server here in this circuit, in this diagram? S1. Good. What is my S1 IP address?
16.0.254.
254 only. Okay. So this is what is the configuration. So our server itself is a DNS server. Of course, it's going to be DNS server anyway. So our IP address is also like that. So here it is. Preferred DNS server is like. Guys, before you do, plan it properly. What IP address you want to use it? What you want to put it here? Like you can use 10.series, 100.series, 172, 192, 200, anything you can use it. Okay. So, but use it properly. Okay. It does not mean you have to use this only IP address. Not required. Everyone knows our IP addresses. The compulsory. You can use anything. If you got any doubt, if you got any problem, no problem. I am here. Okay. Put proper question, then I can able to help you. Not after 11 o'clock. Sometimes. Okay. So here it is. Again, server manager, local server, Ethernet 0. This is my link. Okay. IP address assigned by DHCP. Or you can go to ncpa.cpl also. If you click here, it automatically shows. So this is my Ethernet 0. Double click. Check the status. It got some APIPA address 169 series. Means it's a APIPA. Next, go to properties. Okay, IPv4. Select Internet Protocol version 4, IPv4, properties. Guys, first option, obtain IP address automatically means DHCP client. Means you will get IP from DHCP server. Second option is manual configuration. Second option is manual configuration. You can assign your own IP address by selecting second option. Use the following IP address. Give your IP address 254. Okay, then press the tab button. Automatically SubnetMask is appear. It is correct. No need of default gateway. We are not communicating anything outside of our network. If you are not communicating outside of your network, you don't require any default gateways. Preferred DNS is our server is a preferred DNS. Okay, then click OK. Go to IPv6 property. No. Go to IPv6 and select this one. I don't want IPv6 in this one, so I removed IPv6. If you want, you can put it, no problem. Just I removed it and click OK. Then you can able to do it. Again, I will show you guys. Now you tell me. Ethernet local server, Ethernet 0.
Right click,
Click here.
click on properties,
Right click properties.
IPv4,
IPv4
properties.
properties. Very good. Which option? Second or first?
Use the following IP address.
Use the following IP address. I give an IP address. Press the tab button or click here. Automatically SubnetMask is came. Default gateway is not required. Again, DNS. Given same IP. Okay. Next. IPv6 I don't want it. And select IPv6. Okay. Click mark IPv6. Then close it.
Close.
Completed. Now details. Check. IP address is assigned. DHCP enabled means you are not a DHCP client. You are not a DHCP client. Okay.
Okay.
And you got a IP address and DNS address. You can able to see it. Close it. close it, and just refresh. This is a refresh button. Refresh. Guys, understand how to give IP address?
Yes, sir.
So, two important things we have done. The first one is changing of computer name, and another one is change of IP address. Next one is, first of all, we have to install ADDS, means Active Directory Domain Services. Okay. So you have to install this role. It is a role, you have to install it. So how to install? Go to server manager. The server manager, go to manage. Okay, go to manage, add roles and features. Add roles and features. A wizard will start. Go to next, next, next. Then under roles, put a ADDS, means this one, Active Directory Domain Services. Clearly read that point. Okay. Active Directory Domain Services. Again, next, how many next are there? We do whatever it is. Okay, so there is a check mark. Check mark is there for a restart, if required. Then install. So this is installation of role. While it is installing, I will tell other points also, because if I told everything for like a one all theory first, it completely bore. So local server, server manager, option is manage, add roles and features. Then wizard is this one. Okay, next, 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 three next. Second option, guys, Active Directory Domain Services. If you see, there is a lot of Active Directory things are there. These are all your server roles. These are all your server related roles only. You can see Active Directory Domain Services, DHCP server, DNS server, Hyper-V. Okay, so network policy and access server, remote access, print and document server, remote desktop services, volume activation services, web server, deployment server, and update server. These are the main services from 2016 and 19 server. There's one or two changes are there, except that one, same thing only. You have to select this option. Then it is come to add features. Now it is, see, it is there. Go to next, next, next. Restart the destination server automatically if required. Yes. And click install. Why I closed it? Again, go to server manager. Tell me, manage.
Address, add roles and features.
Add roles and features. Very good. Next, first option.
Role
Next, first option.
first option.
Under roles,
Active Directory Domain Service.
select. Whenever I select, there is a pop-up will come up. Okay. Now, add features.
Features.
Okay. Next. So certain features automatically add, like a group policy management thing. Automatically adds, no need to do anything. Just next. Next. Select this option. Yes. install. So I'm clicking on install. Okay. So it is start installation. Again, it will take some 5 minutes, like 2-3 minutes it will take. We'll see how much time it will take. So we're done. Okay. Back to directory, domain services, under pop-up, add features. Okay. What is this? Restart destination server. Automatically required. Okay. Then install. So why this is required? For a certain roles you install, after installation it required a restart. So you are installed and again you have to restart yourself. It may take time, right? So automatically restart means it install and restart. But this is server is not required any Active Directory, DSCP, DNS don't require any kind of restarts. Hyper-V is required restart. Okay, Hyper-V is required restart. Remaining is not required. Now you install ADDS. It is not enough. Okay, you have to do promote this server to a domain controller. Okay, generally after installation this will be appear. You have to click on it. Wizard will start. Wizard will start. Okay. So if possible, I will remind me guys, what are the Windows Server 2016 or 19 roles? So here I put a point. Here it is. What are the Windows Server 2016 or 2019 roles and features? If possible, I will try to tell features also. And about server editions, that is also done. Minimum requirements I told. What are the different server editions and types of servers? Types are there, like a GUI mode, desktop, core, nano, kind of stuff is there. Editions also there. Standard edition. Okay. Data center, like this. Data center and essential, Hyper-V kind of stuff is also. So I didn't tell those kind of stuff. So I have to tell that one also. That is important because this is very big practical. So that's why I tell. The wizard will start. It is still installation. Meanwhile, I will tell some theory. So here it is. This part is done. Options and all there. So I will tell options. Guys, look at here. I want to create a domain controller. It's not point of domain controller. It is about an enterprise. I'm an organization. I started an organization. I need a name of the organization, right? I need a name of the organization, right? So that organization name, for example, it can start the organization. For example, you take a best organization in our India, it is Tata. It's compared to all because it's a very old one, different branches, and still maximum of branches still working good. Okay, so Tata there started a business, Tata Steel, Tata Hotels kind of stuff, Taj Mahal Hotel, and Tata Airlines, the Indian Airlines, but it is originally Tata Airlines. Okay, TCS, telecommunications, motors, right? There is a so many other social services related thing also there. Institutes also there. Okay, so like different branches are there, right? So look at here, guys. I created a and the Tata become big enterprise. This enterprise, we call it as a forest. This enterprise, we call it as a forest. The forest represent big zero like this. Okay, this is a Tata forest. We totally created a forest. It is a forest. But to create a forest, you have to create a forest. You have to create a domain. To create a domain, you have to install a domain controller. The triangle represents domain. The triangle represent domain. The rectangle box, like a standing rectangle box, not this one, represent domain controller. This is a domain controller. By installing a domain controller, domain will be created first. Okay. So for example, my domain name is tata.com. Okay. So tata.com. I started a tata.com. So this tata.com is called a root domain in forest. This is the root domain. This is root domain. You can easily say this is my root domain. I have a domain controller. This is a root domain. So to create a forest, you have to create a root domain. So then automatically a forest is created. After creating a forest, yeah, it is installed. It is installed, don't worry. After creating a forest, you're creating lot of branches. Okay, branch kind of stuff or different organizations, different businesses you're started, for example, within the forest only. For example, who is CEO of TCS? Also CEO of Tata Steel, right? Total Tata groups, Tata's sons. CEO is CEO for everyone, like that. It's a forest. So, for example, this is a TCS. Okay, and also I create another one. For example, small one is better because I want to draw so many things. No, bigger is also okay, no problem. Okay, so for example, it is a tatamotors.com. Okay, so it is a tatamotors.com. Now, these are the under my main forest. Without creating this forest, you can't create a trees. So these are all nothing but a tree. It is also a tree. This is a tree domain. This is a tree domain. Okay. Now I will create a child also. Okay. The child name is like this. For For example, in a Tata Motors, electric also came, right? So for example, they started a business under Tata Motors electric. So Tata Motors, okay, electric.tatamotors.com. Then it is a child domain. That is a child domain. So root domain, you create a root domain, then forest will be created. Under forest, you can create a trees and childs also. Child domain can be child domain of any parent. You can create a child domain here. You can create a child domain here. You can create a child domain here. You can create a child domain here also. Okay, so remember that point. 1, 2 points are told. Third point I have to tell. Okay. What is the third point? It is the first point I told what it is. That is the third point actually. Okay. We are creating new forest. Creating new forest. To create a new forest, you have to create root domain. Okay. So this is first I told. Next, if forest is already created, if forest is already created, forest is already created. So I want to add a domain in existing forest. If forest is already created, I am creating a new domain. I am adding a new domain in an existing forest. So that can be tree or that can be child. So for child, you have to tell who is the parent. For a tree, you have to tell forest name. Okay, that's the difference. This is another point. Add a domain to existing forest. Next, before going to third point, so I have to tell this, guys. Every domain must have a domain controller. Every domain must have a domain controller. Whether it is a child domain, either it's a tree domain, or it is a root domain. Every domain must have a domain controller. Okay, these domain controllers, so like a primary domain controller type. It is a main domain controller. If in case domain controller, so first of all, what is the domain controller? Store user computer database. Store user and computer database. Also do authentication. If in case my domain controller is nothing but a server. If server is down, what will happen? What server will do? Authenticate users and computers when they log into domain. If server is down, what will happen? No authentication, no logins, right? Guys, understand this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what I have done, I created a ADC called a additional domain controller. Additional domain controller. If in case my domain controller is down, then additional domain controller will authenticate. It is like a load balancer and failover. Like a load balancer and failover. Next. In a branch offices, we have less security. So I don't want anyone to log into my domain controller with full authority and change the things. I want to keep a read-only copy of my database. Read-only copy of my database. Only branch office users only get authenticated, not anyone. So for that purpose, I put another server called RODC. Okay, read-only domain controller. Read-only domain controller. Okay, so these are the domain controller. Every server is a domain controller. If in case you want to put a additional domain controllers or RODCs, you want to add more domain controllers to same domain. Guys, remember always one domain can contains multiple domain controllers, but one domain controller never having more than one domain. Okay, so remember, so one domain controller, one domain controller belongs to one domain only. One domain controller belongs to one domain only. But in a domain, we have a multiple domain controllers. RODC. Like this. You can put a multiple domain controllers for a in a domain. Okay. So for this one more option is there. Yeah, I have to remove for these options. Okay. So here third, add a domain in existing domain. Add a domain controller to existing domain. Actually, it is add a domain controller should be there, but it is showing a add a domain into existing domain. Add a domain to existing domain. The controller is no guarantee, so then we'll see that one. So what is the purpose of this option is to add ADC or RODC. Additional domain controller, read-only domain controller. This is the option 1. Option 2. This is option 3. Reverse side. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to create new forest. We don't have any forest, existing forest is there. So we are going to do new forest. Okay. In the forest, you have to plan for a domain name also. I didn't written that one here, but I will write here. So my domain name is domain17.com. Okay, domain17.com. Very good name, right? So this is my domain name. Guys, you can put any name. You can put a tata.com, facebook.com, google.com, anything. But in place of .com, you can use anything. You can use .com or .net or .org, or otherwise best is .local or .msft, meaning is Microsoft. There is a, for a practical, Microsoft suggested .com is there, that is called a contoso.com, example.com, nwtraders.com. These are all Microsoft and Linux suggested .coms. Okay. nwtraders.com, adatum.com, these are suggested .coms are there. But I'm using like this. What will happen? I'm in a private. I'm not going with the public, right? So domain17.com. Okay. So this is the picture of forest, trees, child, domain, Active Directory, ADC, BDC kind of stuff. I will tell BDC also. Guys, it is installed. So promote this server to a domain controller. Can you able to see that line?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have to click on it. So if you click, the wizard will start. See, you add a domain controller to existing domain. I given correct only. Okay, add a new domain to existing forest, add a new forest. Okay, little bit changes, but same text only. You have to select third one. This is the wizard, is Active Directory Domain Service Configuration Wizard. Okay, this wizard will start. Why I'm closing? For example, you're excited, you've seen this window and you closed it accidentally. Then you can't able to click it and there is a problem. Okay, ADDS configuration wizard, you have to go. Okay, you missed this configuration wizard. We missed promote this server to a domain controller. What to do? Go to this notification. Can you see notification? Promote this server to a domain controller. Or in the left side, you can see ADDS. Click more. Promote this server to a domain controller. Okay. So whatever it is, I'm going like this. Promote this server to a domain controller. Usually you have to click there only. But if you accidentally close, do not worry. It is there under flag. Click on a flag. You can get promote this server to a domain controller. Now wizard is started. 3 options are there. Which option I have to select? Which is I don't have. Add a new forest. Or add a new domain to existing forest for a child or tree domain purpose. Now add a domain controller to existing domain for ADC RODC purpose. Okay. So look at here. Second option, first option, it is asking which domain. It is asking which domain. Second option, it is asking domain type, child domain or a tree domain. If it is a child domain, it is asking parent and child domain name. Parent name, child domain name. If you are going to tree domain, it is asking forest name and your domain name. But we don't have a forest, right? We don't have a domain. Also, we don't have a domain. Root domain name. Third option you have to select. You add a new forest, root domain name. What is my domain name? Domain17.com. Okay. Guys are okay with this option. Third option and domain name. Next. It asks for a password. That is a directory restore mode password. Okay. Directory restore mode password. And also it is global catalog is already checked and grayed, and no, you can't change this one. Also you cannot select the last one. Next, DNS server. We don't have any DNS server. We installed ADDS. We didn't install DNS server. So I'm going to install a DNS server along with this wizard. So keep the check mark. No need to do anything. Simply give the password. Password is admin@123. Admin@123. It is a directory restore mode password. Meaning is you have taken a backup of Active Directory and something is happened. You want to restore your Active Directory database backup from backup. Then we need this password. Next. No need to do anything here because we don't have any separate DNS servers. Next. NetBIOS name automatically generate from your domain name. So NetBIOS name is NetBIOS domain name is domain 17. Guys, make sure your server name and domain name must be different. Don't put your server name and domain name is same. Okay. Some people, I have seen a lot of people doing mistakes, even though we suggested. Okay, yeah. Our database, Active Directory database, log files, sysfol folder, default locations. Database folder go to C, Windows NTDS folder. Log files also stores in C, Windows NTDS folder, but sysfol folder is C, Windows sysfol folder. Find out what is sysfol. It's a publicly shared domain-wide folder. Next, no need to do anything, simply next only. You can view a script. So this is so save, no problem. It is not a big deal also. Okay. This is PowerShell related kind of stuff. This is a PowerShell related kind of stuff. Okay. So how to, you can install with the PowerShell also using this script. But anyway, we are not doing anything. Simply next. It's checking for a prerequisite. So important thing is after you rename the computer must be restarted. Second one is DNS server address must be given. DNS server address must be given. If you got like this, green check mark means it is good. Of course, it is telling some warnings, not errors. So no errors and it is good, everything. Click on install. Before I'm clicking on install, guys, anybody having any doubts in the options, please tell me, I will go back.
No, sir.
Can I click on install then?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I click on install. It is installing. Okay. It will take another 5 minutes to install. This is the diagram. Like that. So these are the things. So I selected add a new forest. Root to domain. So this is very important. Next one is DSRM password. You have to give the password. Even same password only. Right, 1, 2, 3. All remaining are next. Install only finally. This is first part of installing. After installation, it will restart, guys. So don't worry. After installation, it will restart. This is the domain controller installation. And there is a few more things are there. You have to add a client to domain. Okay, at a client side setup is there, domain side setup is there. So you want to add a client to domain. So I cover up few things here. So one is like how to add a domain to client, and also I told few things. First one is forest. Important definition is domain. What is domain? What is forest? What is tree? What is tree? Okay. What is ADC? What is DC? What is RODC? Yeah. What is child? What is OU? These are all so many definitions are there. You can go through once. I shared already PPT. This PPT, this particular PPT. Introduction to Active Directory PPT. You can find it. The definition wise, explanation wise also you can find it. Only I want to tell about a DC ADC point. DC domain controller. This is a domain controller, also called as a PDC. PDC means primary domain controller. ADC, your additional domain controller. additional domain controller. Also, it is like a PDC. What is this DC, ADC kind of stuff? Okay, old names. The old names of DC is PDC. It is a old name, so don't get confused. DC means it's a primary domain controller only. It is a old name. 2003, 2005. We use this PDC BDC concept. Additional domain controller is a backup domain controller. Okay, so earlier we have that kind of naming conversion. Now it is not there. Like PDC is a main domain controller, BDC is a backup domain controller. Now DC is a main domain controller, ADC is a additional domain controller. So only names are there. Okay, PDC, BDC or DC, ADC. So your PDC is nothing but a DC. PDC is nothing but a ADC. What is the use of this one? Okay, load balance and failover. So what is the failover? If DC server stop working. Stop working means not working. Down meaning is down. So ADC means your backup domain controller. Your DC means your PDC stop working. Your ADC server do the DC work, like authentication, policy, group policies, like this. Okay, next load balance. If more request means what we can say more load on domain controller. Okay, on your DC, more load on DC. Okay, we can share load with your additional domain controller. So guys, entire our world, our infrastructure, servers, cloud computing, virtualization, whatsoever it is, entire our infrastructures, database servers, web servers, whatever it is, it's running on only this formula: load balancer and failover. Load balancer and failover. Without load balance and failover, whether it is a cloud computing or whether it is a database related applications, whatever it is, any kind of server, network, internet, nothing will work. Nothing will work. Entire business will be failed. Entire business will be failed business only without failover and load balancer. Why we are going to cloud? One of the reason is failover and load balancing. Okay, guys, understand ADC, BDC, RODC I didn't told, but still no problem. Is it completed or not? Oh, it is restarted also. Okay, now it is see. Earlier it is shows only administrator. Now domain 17/administrator means this administrator is belongs to domain 17. That domain only. Okay. Now login. So what are we do earlier with the administrator? That will be like that. Those files are belongs to that local administrator. First time we log in with the administrator, that is local administrator. This administrator is a domain administrator. Guys, so I'm not going to next part is how to add a client to domain. It is very easy, but I don't want to struggle you more because it's already 6:30. So take a relax, have a tea, coffee or something. So people who are not yet installed Windows Server, first install the Windows Server. Next, do the settings. Third one is install the domain controller. So tomorrow I'm going to tell how to install, how to add a OUs, how to add a client to domain, how to add a user, how to log in with the user. That is tomorrow morning, plus group policies and other things. So tomorrow class is there morning and afternoon. Sunday is not there. Sunday I want to sleep extra time.
Okay, sir.
See, my work group become domain. So this is a domain 17 like this. After installation, importantly, go to tools. These are important, guys. Active Directory Admin Center, Active Directory Domains and Trust, Active Directory module for Windows Server, Windows PowerShell, Active Directory Sites and Services, Active Directory Users and Computers, ADSI Edit, Group Policy Management, and of course DNS also is showing here. Okay, Group Policy Management. These are all Active Directory related components. Our first important component is Active Directory Users and Computers. To add a OUs or groups, users, computers, you have to check it from here only under my domain. There is a default containers are there. Tomorrow I will tell what are the containers, how to add a containers and all. Okay. This is it. This is your domain controller. Guys, can you able to do it up to here today?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So any doubt you can ask me. Okay, no problem. So I'm shutting down my virtual machine. Okay, when you click on shutdown, it will ask why you are shut down. So just click continue, let it shut down. So up to here. So tomorrow I will tell remaining things.